Alright, hi everyone. This is another recap video of how to create a gradient background in InDesign. So here we have our InDesign screen. We have our 2 foot by 2 foot board. Just as we discussed in previous InDesign demos, the way to place an image is to go to File, go to File, Place, and then go and select the file you want to place. I'm going to go here and I'm going to select my rendering. It's going to go click and import. And let me just shrink this down. And something like that. Let's say I want my rendering to be placed at the bottom of my board here. So the way to feather any image or background is to select the image. We're going to right click and we're going to go to Effects. And under Effects, you'll see all these different options. And the one we're going to choose here is the directional feather. So when I click directional feather, this pop-up window pops up. And it's going to ask for feather widths for either top, bottom, left, or right. So that's the top of the image, the bottom of the image, or either side of the image. So I want to feather the top here. So I'm going to go and say, let's maybe 3 inches. I'm going to hit OK. And notice how the top of that image is now starting to become feathered. You can always go back and continue editing your directional feather. You could go back, same set of steps, and this time we'll say maybe 5 inches is better. So I'll hit OK. And notice that when you drag the boundary of your Photoshop, or sorry, the placed image, the directional feather also gets adjusted based upon the boundary of that image. So that's how you do that. Let's say that's how we want it to fade. So we have a rendering here. We have the white space for any other drawings that we might have. But one of Felix's questions last night was how to create, for example, just a feathered look for the entire board in case you don't want to have a completely white board. And the way to do that is to use your rectangle tool here and just draw a rectangle or a square that goes to the boundaries of the entire board. When you bring in your box here, it's most likely not going to have a fill associated with it. It's probably going to have no fill. So over here, let me just change that to no fill. So, so we can go over how to change that fill color. And we could just go here and redraw that. And now we have our box. That's the entire boundary of our board here. And now we can go ahead and assign a color to it. So I'm just going to go here to the top and we have all of these different basic color options. So for now, I'm just going to go ahead and select this blue one, make the whole board blue. And similarly, we're just going to go ahead and do that directional feather. So I'm going to right click the object I have selected. We're going to go to Effects and we'll go to directional feather. And so this time let's do the bottom, let's say 13 inches, hit OK. And now we have that directional feather. And again, we can continue editing that feather based upon the boundary of that image. One thing you might want to consider with your boards is, for example, if we have our rendering and we want to basically continue the look of the sky, we want to try and match the blue tones between the image of the rendering and the color of the background. So one way you can do that very easily in InDesign is if we go over here to our eyedropper tool. Right now it's currently selected as the color theme tool, but if we click and hold it, we can go and select the eyedropper tool. And so with the eyedropper tool, I'm now going to go zoom into my rendering, and I'm going to pick a blue tone that is in the sky. So I'm going to select maybe this color right here. And notice that when I selected, the eyedropper flips direction, and now it looks like as though the eyedropper is filled with liquid, I guess. So now we can go here to our basic color fill, and all we need to do is just click right onto that color fill. Let's see here. Let's try this one more time. There we go. So as you see here, if you just go ahead and select the color from the image and then go and select the gradient background, that automatically matches the color that you selected. We can just move this down. And now we can play with our gradient background and decide where, how far down it needs to go. So that's one way to create that fill color background. All right. And that's all for that demo.